Hello everyone, Treecks here and welcome back to F-Zero-X plus the F-Zero-X expansion kit for the Nintendo 64 DD. The first one just being for the Nintendo 64. Even though we did not see any of the expansion kit coverage yet. Perhaps today, however, that is not very likely because there's something else we need to do first. If we check out the Novice, normally you would say we are done with all of the regular cups and therefore we should be moving on towards the DD1 Cup next. However, some of the tracks are actually numbered, as you may know. Mute City 1, 2, 3. And looking at the numbering, the DD1 Cup is actually not up first. We first need to unlock a secret cup. And that one I need to do first, before I take a look at the DD1 Cup. And therefore we are returning to the Jack Cup, only this time on Standard. Now that is up for today. Oh, and we can also see we have unlocked the second row of racers this time around. Apparently 3 crosses is enough in order to unlock the second row of racers. We now have 12 machines we can select. Let's go with the Great Star. I think that one might be interesting to actually show off. Because this is the first machine I'm going to use that actually has a body of E, as you can see. The lowest ranking that something can get. And therefore getting destroyed by the other machines is something that can happen a lot easier with these kinds of machines. Definitely be careful with what you hit. And in order to make it more interesting, let's also put max speed on max. In order to show off why that's not a good idea to actually play around on. Because as you can see, it's very killing for your acceleration. It takes forever for you to get up to speed. But luckily this is only standard, and therefore I should still be able to get away with it. Your speed is going to be greater, of course. We do need to be careful for breaking that speed, because as you might have seen at the start, it takes a while before you get back up to speed. So if you ever decide to go for full max speed, do make sure you don't slow down. Otherwise you're going to end up in a lot of trouble, like Gomercia over here. Although there was a little bit of a different kind of trouble he was in. But let's point out the other aspect I just talked about before beginning. The E-body. The machine I just destroyed, because it was already blinking, is also a machine that has an E-body. The Twin Rita also has one of the weakest bodies in the game. And the Great Star, which I'm racing right now, also has an E-body. And therefore, hitting other racers or the walls will actually take away more of your energy. Usually the machines that have E-body are really good in the other stats, but they do blow up quickly, so do be careful whenever using them. I think of all of the machines to use, especially on the higher difficulties, when the computer players become a little bit more annoying to actually deal with, the machines that actually have E-bodies are actually the most difficult to win your races with because of that reason. But on lower difficulties, whenever you're able to get in front of the computer players, hopefully that should not be a problem. First place, even here on Standard. And a very bad balance setting. But on tracks like these you can actually still get away with it. So we win. Let's move on to track number 2, Silence, high speed. Despite the high speed, I think I'm just going to keep my balance on a little bit more of a healthy level this time. Not all the way to max, but actually being a little bit in between. Usually 3 or 4 bars to the right is actually the best setting to go for. Whenever you're trying to go for the perfect balance between higher speed and yet also an acceptable acceleration. So get used to that setting, that's usually what I'm going for. Even though it's not always a good idea, of course. But anyway, now that all of that's out of the way, let's talk about the racer we're actually racing. Mr. EAD. The story behind him is actually the fact that he's a robot. Created by... Oh, oops. That's what you get for actually using an analog stick for the C buttons. Then I sometimes accidentally shift the camera if you try to look behind me. Which you actually do by holding the C up button. But the C right button actually changes the camera angle, so whenever dealing with an analog stick, like the controller I'm using right now, sometimes you can actually hold them together, if you know what I mean. But anyway, Mr. EAD is a robot, like I was trying to say, created by the company EAD in the story. And EAD, of course, being a parody on Nintendo itself, because Nintendo's development team is actually also called EAD. Entertainment and Development, it stands for. But this guy's basically a parody on that, you might say. And that is not even where the parody ends, because Mr. EAD himself, his design, is actually based on Super Mario himself. Which is also pretty interesting. Yeah, F-Zero actually really loves its cameos. He's not the only character this applies to. The belt that Mr. EAD is wearing actually has a star, based on the superstar from Mario. Which is awesome. Okay, let's go show off the full acceleration this time, because this track should be kind of suited for that. Normally, whenever going for full acceleration, your best bet is to actually go for a sliding strategy. This is something I'm going to show off later, not per se in this track, because I didn't think this one was actually really suited for that. But in this turn coming up, I can still try to actually pull that off. Yeah. Okay, here you can see it. Whenever in full acceleration, whenever you start sliding, you actually pick up speed instead of losing speed. Remember how in the first episode I talked about sliding is not always a bad thing. There are situations in the game where sliding is actually a good thing. And this is actually the good thing about sliding. Whenever you put your balance on acceleration, even though I must admit it's hard to control, but if you're able to slide properly, you can actually pick up speed when sliding. So whenever you're dealing with a track with a lot of turns, a lot of cornering, if people actually keep me alive, but whenever there's a lot of turns, and you're able to slide a lot in a track, then it's actually beneficial to go for max acceleration. You do lose a lot of your normal speed, but that only applies whenever driving normally. Whenever taking turns and sliding, then you will actually pick up a lot of speed. Oh, oops. Sorry guys. But like I said, this track is not per se really suited for that. There's not enough turns here, and in the pipes it's also pretty difficult to actually pick up enough speed. Which results in the fact that I actually lose this track. But no matter, I was just trying to show a couple of things off. I think I'll actually wait until showing this off properly until high jump, because that track is actually suited a lot better for it. So let's go race normally again on Corkscrew, and hopefully make up for my mistake. But like I explained last time, it doesn't really matter if you lose a race. There's no penalty for it. Just the fact that you get a little bit less points and therefore have a harder time getting your gold trophy, but in the end, all that matters in this game is that you get first place at the end. Nothing else. Doesn't matter how you reach that first place. Whenever a big crowd appears, it's always the machines with E-body that actually get wrecked first, of course. That is not very surprising. But anyway, we're still not in first place. You can definitely see a difference when it comes to difficulty already. Even when I didn't try on Novice, I was still able to get to first place pretty easily. On Standard you can already see that's no longer the case. Here you need to really work to get first place. It's still not really hard to win, of course. But reaching first place, and that is something that does not happen on its own anymore, if you know what I mean. Even though I'm playing around a lot, I do need to still pick up the pace. I don't think I have to worry about winning the race. The Grand Prix with that I mean, but I do like to keep some dignity up here, so don't want to lose too much. I can forgive myself losing Sand Ocean just now, because I was actually playing around with a bad idea back then, so that one I don't really mind. But this one, whenever playing on normal settings, I can't really permit losing. At least not if I want to stand a chance on the higher difficulties. Then I definitely still need to win on Standard. I'm only allowed to lose if I actually play around way too much. Or start using the wrong settings in the wrong tracks. Even though it did prove a valuable point, because I clearly showed off that you can't just go in any track with just any type of settings. You do need to be careful what kind of settings you actually go in. Usually whenever going for middle of the road, standard settings, then you pretty much are always good. Even though that does not really apply to the later tracks, especially in DD1 and DD2 cups, then it's not going to be as easy anymore as, oh, I'll just leave it in the middle, that is always good. Whenever dealing with the tougher tracks on the higher difficulties, then you definitely need to play around with your settings, otherwise you simply are not able to win. But more on that later, we're not dealing with the higher difficulties yet, of course. This is only standard, the second difficulty. Already noticeably more difficult than Novice was, but still easy enough to win. Even on Sand Ocean. If I actually played Sand Ocean with normal settings, then I would have won. So, let's move. The cylinder also needs to be cleared. Yeah, what's funny about this machine, the Great Star, piloted by Mr. EAD, developed by EAD, his settings are also EAD. Really funny. And therefore saying his grip settings are also D. It's pretty difficult to actually keep this machine balanced. He has a very powerful booster when it comes to his body, but also his grip. And this machine actually does not score very well. Most of all the grip I actually struggle with, of course. The body is something you don't really have to fear as long as you stay away from other people and the walls. You usually don't really mind the bad body setting a whole lot. With the grip, especially when going fast, that is something you cannot avoid actually getting bothered by. Let's move on to the final one quickly, so we can also get another cup in this video. And I did promise for this one I would go for full acceleration again. But unlike Sand Ocean, I don't really fear this one. This track is definitely a lot better suited for it. There's a lot more turns here, so we can show off in a better way how acceleration is supposed to be handled. This S turn is a little bit too sharp, so that one I will double tap. Turns like these, you're actually going to want to make sure you lose your grip and then start sliding and pick up a lot of speed. If you do this correctly, you can even get up to higher speeds than a normal booster can. Difficult to perform. This is definitely a very advanced technique, so performing it is definitely difficult. Oh, be careful here. Mind the E-body. I die quickly, guys. But I can also slide very well. This is also something that comes with the D grip. Even though you do lose your grip quickly, whenever you're going for a sliding strategy like this one, that is actually a good thing. So don't think any stat that actually scores really low, D or E, automatically means it's a bad thing. There's always a situation where you can actually think of benefits for bad rankings in your stats. Like the bad grip, for instance. In this case, because of my max acceleration strategy, I actually want to have bad grip. So I can actually slide around a lot easier. Therefore, creating a lot of high speeds. Boosting is not even required anymore if you want to go fast, whenever going through turns with max acceleration. Keep that in mind. Later tracks are going to be even better suited for it, and also other machines, because this machine, in all honesty, is not even the best machine in order to do the sliding, but you can already see how it can benefit you if you perform it correctly. Sliding is no longer a bad thing. Now we just have to wait for the proper tracks with a lot of easy turns to make, and also a machine with E grip, making it even easier to do some sliding. But this was the Jack Up for the second time. There were once again a lot of new things I could explain, and therefore making this somewhat interesting. The true coverage of the Jack Up won't come until the final and highest difficulty, of course. Only there the computer players can be interesting enough in order to consider threatening. Even though I did lose Sand Ocean, but we all know why that happened. I'll make sure that does not happen again. At least we were able to show off the acceleration stat better in Port Town. There, I did win. Despite the max acceleration. So, 13 minutes in the video. Queen Cup coming up. Also not being too long, so yeah, I think I can also include that in this episode. The cup I'm waiting for, because at the beginning I did promise there's actually another cup that we need to play first before moving on to the expansion kit leaks. But that one I'm pretty sure does not unlock yet. Not at 4 crosses, so Banzai! EAD is the greatest! Oh yeah, and as you can see, whenever you clear a leak on standard or higher, you also get a message from the racer. Something that does not happen on Novice. Not too sure why not, but it does. So, after Mr. EAD shown off that he has a Mario face and is indeed a robot, we can move on to the next league. Standard again. Yeah, because the 4th cup indeed did not unlock yet. Let's go to cup number 2 then, on standard. Let's go pick someone we did not play yet. Let's go for a machine on the 2nd row again. Let's go pick Billy, the ape that actually descended from the first monkey in space. And because of his proud lineage, he's actually smart enough to also race in F-Zero in the Mad Wolf. Still on standard. Last time we actually proved these guys were pretty easy. So let's give them a head start. But not by too much, of course. Let's go race around with the Mad Wolf. A machine that actually excels in jumping. Also something I could quickly address. As you might have seen by all the machines, they all have 3 in-game stats. 3 official stats. Its body, its grip and its booster. But officially, those are not the only stats. There's also a couple of other things that can be considered stats, like the max speed of the machine, how good it is at jumping, how good it is at sliding, stuff like that. Not all of the stats are actually officially displayed in the game. Never really understood why. And not even in newer F-Zero games, because these 3 stats always stay the only 3 stats that the game actually displays. Even though in the background there is officially more of them. But the Mad Wolf is actually a really good jumping machine. Whenever you start flying with this machine, you can actually go higher speeds than other machines can. But that's a little bit of a side note. We're not going to do a lot of jumping here in Sector Alpha. At least not if you don't want to fall off the track. Officially, of course, you can, but that will actually mean falling off, because there's no official jumps in this track. Beastman wants to stay alive, it looks like. Okay, there he finally goes. So, now that I've had my revenge on that guy, let's go boost ourselves to the finish. Finish off this track. There we go. This slides around a little bit in the final turn, but still, good final lap. Poor Beastman. Let's go try getting him at 0 points again. Last time I actually failed because I forgot about him in the last couple of tracks. But let's go try again. I've got a new chance to actually get the computer player to stay at 0 points during the entire Grand Prix. Red Canyon is up next. So let's go give these guys another head start. And then let's go work with the one thing the Mad Wolf is actually really good in: jumping. This track we should be able to actually see how good it is. Okay, here's my rubber band rifles. Because of me starting so slowly, these guys are also going to start slowly. We are going to leave quite quickly. They got a head start of around 10 seconds on the in-game clock. But before... No, almost before the second lap. We already gained up on everybody. That is how fast we can be. And that is how standard is still too slow. This won't get interesting until the later difficulties, I'm afraid. But that is not going to stop me from going really crazy fast. Oh, that was not a good jump. 22 seconds in the second lap. I think I can do a lot better. Okay. No, missed the dash plate. Not easy to actually aim after doing double tap turns. Don't underestimate the control in this game. There we go. Good final jump. 20 seconds in the final lap. That is what I want to see. That is the awesomeness of Red Canyon multi-jump. I never played with a machine that actually knows how to jump. So let's go to another track where we can do some jumping. Up and down. Devil's Forest 2. And I once again forgot about Beastman. Go me. I'm getting so distracted giving these guys head starts that I forget to actually get someone at 0 points at the end of a Grand Prix. So I think I actually need to post a post-it on my TV screen so I'll make sure I never forget. Eventually I'll do it, don't worry. Let's see if I can still catch up with these people. I did give them a really big head start now. Ooh, awesome jump. Already gained up on my rifles. Now let's go clean up the rest. Hi guys. Did you miss me? Okay, still in 16th place in the second lap, so 4 seconds behind the leader. I should still be able to catch up with these guys. The Mad Wolf is good enough for that. And BAM! Hitting someone at high speeds. Awesome to do. But okay, we've passed everybody, so let's go do a clean lap this time. Let's see how fast we can actually do this final lap. Not like that. Okay, never mind going to records. going for records is something I'm going to do in the Time Attack episodes anyway, so don't really have to do it here. Grand Prix mode is also not very suiting to go for times because of the hindrances of the computer players. And the fact that you usually start off at the final position, of course. Things like that actually prevent you from going for good times here on Grand Prix mode. But there are other things we can play around with, of course, so let's go play Mute City 2 Technique. Second time for this track. This time around on standard. Let's see if this track can be somewhat interesting. Oh, let's not forget to give them a head start. I'm making that a trend in this cup, so better make sure I do it all the time. Beastman and James McCloud, they seem to be my rubber band rivals this time around. Beastman I can understand, because he actually hunts for quote-unquote wild animals, and you can consider Billy one because of him being an ape. James McCloud, I'm not really sure what the connection in the story is. Although I did notice that some of the people actually have rifles that are decent starting numbers. That might be the reason why James McCloud is here, because the start number of Billy's 11, the Mad Wolf is number 11, and the Little Wyvern, James McCloud's machine, is actually number 10. So that might be the reason why he's one of my set rifles. Oh, missed soda. Come on, slippery eel. There you go. There goes my rifle. Not really my rifle, because I did not really have reason to fear him, but still. It's always funny to actually try to beat your rifle. Seeing that machine explode and therefore the rifle sign disappearing from him, that is always funny to see. But okay, we've played enough on this track. Let's go finish it off. First place once again. Let's go see if there's some new people to play around with. We have... oh, Pico, yeah. Let's go see if we can destroy Pico in Big Blue 2. Quick turn. He's starting right beside me, so should be able to get to him quickly. At least after I'm able to catch up with these guys, because of course I'm going to give them a head start. 3 seconds should be enough. They should be 20 seconds ahead of me now. Okay, a little bit less. 10 seconds, 9 seconds. Yeah. Good enough to make it challenging at least. Ah, Little Wyvern, number 10. That is no reason to be a rival just because you have a number that looks like mine. Pico is already gone, it looks like. Oh, there he is. Get out of the way. Let's go fast this part. Let's go leave Pico alone, because I'm just going to kill myself if I start attacking him here. There's no guardrails here, so... but there's another track after this one, so... we really want to destroy rifle signs. This is not our final chance. Let's go do this final lap quickly. I'm not hindered now, so I should be able to get a good lap time this time. No, slide. I botched it, so... I don't care about the ending anymore. I could also try to actually destroy myself after a race. There's also something I did not show off yet. Yeah, Whiteland is actually a track that's really suited for it, so... let's go see if we can destroy ourselves after this race and still win the race. It's not easy to perform in all honesty, but if you're able to destroy yourself before getting the official retire, you actually start spinning around a little bit before you actually explode, and in that time you can still officially finish. Let's see if I can actually show that off at the end. Although, like I said, it's not easy to perform on a track like this, so... but at least it is also something I'll try to remember to actually do later on, if I'm not able to do it today. Let's see if we can notch this Little Wyvern off the track this time around. Like that. Bye, James. And before you start asking, the fact that he... okay, somebody got knocked off the track there. That looked weird. Computer players start killing each other here on standard, it looks like. They're becoming a little bit more aggressive. But anyway, I was trying to tell about James McCloud. I was saying, if you think it's a coincidence that he's actually called James McCloud after the father of Fox McCloud from the Star Fox games, That is indeed not a coincidence. It is indeed a parody on that. Like I explained with Mr. EAD at the beginning of this episode, a lot of the racers in this game have parodies. There's a lot of cameos in this game. And James McCloud is indeed also one. But more on him later, once we start unlocking him. Now we're racing Billy, descendant of the first monkey in space. And let's see if we can launch him into space, because that is what he deserves. Let's boost here. Try to avoid as much of the pit area as you can and knock yourself into the wall here. And go over the finish in a ball of fire. And if you finish before the actual explosion, it will still count. Oh, and it looks like in the meantime somebody also ran over our wreckage. So we are no longer in existence. But we do not have to be, because the race is over, the Grand Prix is over. And this is the final standings. 600 points because of winning all 6 of the tracks. Playing around a little bit in the meantime in order to keep myself entertained. But the Queen Cup on Standard has been gotten. Next time we're going to play the King Cup, because I'm pretty sure even after 5 crosses we're not going to see the unlockable cup quite yet. Which I do need to play before the DD1 Cup, because even though they are officially already available because of the expansion kit add-on, I'm still not going to play them. Because you're going to be missing a couple of numbers in the tracks if I start doing them now. So I'm afraid our secret cup still needs to be done first. But before we can do that, we first need to unlock it. So these cups on Standard first need to be done before we're gonna go to the DD1 Cup on Novice. But not a bad thing. These cups on Standard also need to be cleared at some point, so at least we have it out of the way already. Let's go receive our gold trophy. First place on the Queen Cup Standard. Humans are lame, monkeys are good. Billy is the best. Well, I do agree on the fact that humans are lame. But I think monkeys are lame too. Come on. Anyway, thank you all for watching. Next time is King Cup on Standard. And I will see you folks then. Treecks out.